All right, so we are back, and today I'm covering some new sparring and training footage from Jake Paul. There's been some footage floating around, and he even dropped a new vlog today, and I thought, because, you know, Jake Paul's vlog audience is about age 5 to 12, I was gonna have to call my brother up, say, hey, you know what, I wanna spend time with my nephew. Just kidding, I need his tablet to log into YouTube Kids just to see the video. Yes, I'm a uncle, but Jake actually made an adult-oriented vlog, and there's some things in here we need to talk about that start to give me an idea as to how they think they're going to beat Anderson Silva, and while it's a long shot, they may not be wrong. So let's act like Gibbs' mind trying to tell his body to work during the Sidemen charity football match and have a complete breakdown. Let's go. All right, so this first clip has nothing to do with Anderson. This is something BJ Flores posted on Twitter, but I do want to highlight something Jake does struggle with from time to time and how they're trying to fix that. So let's take a look.
Make every shot count, every single one. Let's go. Turn that foot. Drive. Good. Every shot.
All right, so first things first, you hear BJ say, make every shot count. In my Drewski voice, what do you mean by that? Essentially, he means Jake needs to make every one of these right hands count with big power, right? Speed and power. Attack the bag, not just hitting it to hit it. Now, is this Jake while he's fresh and just starting the session? No, probably not. Why do I say that? Because he looks tired when he throws this first combination. Not to mention there's a guy behind him waving a towel up and down like he's a fucking matador about to get gored by a bull chasing him. So yeah, his technique might be a bit flawed here, but that's the point. As Jake has gotten tired in both the Tyron Woodley fights, his technique has started to fade. So watch this back foot here as he throws. The foot comes off the ground a tad bit, but it's more of just a rollover. And Jake gets his head off the center. That's good. Keeping our left hand close to our chin. That's good. But he almost overthrows this right hand because this back foot doesn't really move. I just want you guys to listen to BJ Flores here. He sees something very quickly, very subtle, that Jake's doing wrong with his first combination, fixes it immediately, and Jalen Love kind of says the same thing. Watch this.
Make every shot count, every single one. Let's go. Turn that foot. Drive.
You hear that? Turn that foot, drive. Watch his back foot on this first shot, right? We just saw it a second ago. Boom, boom. Yeah, it turns over. He throws a nice shot, but he kind of rolls it, which shows me there's not a ton of engagement in that back leg. He just kind of throws it over. And as he pulls out of here, he kind of pulls straight out of range, which is, again, something that can get him countered because Anderson loves to throw counter shots off yours. But this second one is much better. Watch this, right? We throw the jab. We throw the right hand. Look at the back foot. Stomp right there, right? The difference. Boom. We're on balance. We moved into range to get that right hand to go through the bag, not just to touch the bag. And we don't just pull straight out, we roll under the right hand to come out of there. Look at that. Again, these are little things, and I know it's not super important while we're watching on the heavy bag, but it will become important in this fight with Anderson. Anderson's gonna look to counter, and Jake wants to be in the fire, so he has to be technically sound, or else it could end badly. But I showed you guys that to explain a little bit of the sweet science. They may look the same, but those little intricacies can mean everything in the world to either being able to turn that shot over properly or being on balance, stuck in range, or having the ability to get out. Those things are great, but now let's take a look at why I think Jake and them aren't necessarily just relying on the right hand. They've seen some stuff from Anderson, and I think I found the game plan they're trying to put together to stop him. Now, we're not about to watch this entire vlog, my new life as a pro boxer, but I just want to let this first little bit play out because they use the voiceover of some mystery high-level reporter and one of the most accurate, as well as handsome, definitely not 5'4", and is not the Just Bleed guy from the UFC pictures. I'll just let him explain. You guys have all heard the news. Jake Paul versus Asim Rahman Jr. has been canceled. Is it just me, or does that voice sound familiar? Listen, all I'm going to say is the YouTube commentator got put in the video first, much like we covered the story first before, I don't know, mainstream ESPN writers and commentators, because maybe, just maybe, we do this a little better. I can't play the music here because it's like Future or something, but let's take a look at some of the mid session here, right? You see him here jabbing with Danny Smith, that backhand protecting his face, also looking for the parry off the jab. That's nice work. And the reason you see that is because his jab here isn't going to block what would usually be a straight right hand from an orthodox position. Danny Smith is standing southpaw because Anderson Silva is a southpaw, and this left hand is the biggest weapon when you have mirrored stances like this. So Jake's throwing up that parry because as he jabs, let's say Danny is actually Anderson Silva here, he could just step on the outside and fire off a left hand down the pipe, if Jake's not protecting here, that's a shot that'll land. So that's nice. You want to see that. All right, so we have Jake jabbing here, right? Now, this is important. You see him step into the outside with his jab, right? You see that left foot moving to the outside. Whether he's doing it on purpose or not, it's going to be important in this fight, and here's why. The reason I'm highlighting that is, like I said, Anderson Silva and Jake are southpaw and orthodox respectively. This is a mirror match, meaning everything that's an advantage for you is also an advantage for them. So you're always playing a game of who's going to get to the spot or take advantage of the positioning faster and or more reliably. Your foot on the outside means the backhand is going to be aligned straight down the pipe so you can throw your big power shot, or just maneuver to that weak side hand a lot easier because they have the foot and hand on the outside. They could pivot, change the angle, and throw combinations. And again, that's very important, but it's not the thing that I think Jake and his team have been working on that they see as the biggest strategy to beat Anderson. It's a combination of the speed and power, the foot on the outside, the hand on the outside, but the finishing touch is what we're about to see. Let's take a look. So we have some sparring footage here, Jake. Oh, that shot actually lands. Okay. It looks like he starts a right hand here. As we cut into frame, that gets blocked on the gloves. And again, I don't like the way he's throwing that right hand. I know it's hard to see, but we got this left hand just by our waist, right? Again, if this shot isn't just parried but pulled on and then countered over the top, or if Anderson just rolls underneath it, changes the angle, and then jabbed left hand, whatever, it's not great that Jake overextends that right hand when he throws it, right? Because if it doesn't land, which it doesn't here, he ends up squared up with his hands right by his waist. And this left hand, again, if this guy's not going backwards, which Jake lands it on the glove, so it makes him kind of reset. But if he doesn't, fire the left hand off down the pipe. You don't want to end up there, right? Now, this one's a better right hand. Level change. This guy is trying to fill his shell. He's trying to protect his body. That's what he thinks is coming here. So he parries at the body, sees the right hand late. Not enough time because Jake lands that one flush. My lord. This is his big money shot. But again, I don't think this by itself will be enough, and we do have to remain technical, which is why if you're a Jake fan, you don't like this lead hand being where it is, because you can see a counter off this, whether it's blocked or parried or whatever. Anderson's going to be there for the counter. But I will say, good shot, good power. It's just you want to see that done more technically. Still a good shot, though.
Don't bag on that line. He ain't done nothing to make you bag up.
Did you hear that? I want you guys to listen to that again. I know I'm trying to avoid the music, but listen to both Danny Smith there and Jayleon Love.
Don't bag on that line. He ain't done nothing to make you bag up.
They both say, don't come off that line or don't back up off that line. He's done nothing to back you up yet. And the reason they're saying that is, let's go back to the Tyron Woodley fight. Anytime there was a flurry from Tyron, not just a shot or two where Jake could counter over, but when he was flurrying at Jake, when he was coming forward, switching stances, throwing punches like Tyron Woodley does, Jake's immediate reaction was to back out of range, right? Just straight back or get out of the way and then reset the action and go to his offense. What I think they're trying to get him comfortable with is sitting in the pocket when those attacks come. Like, don't just take that back step before anything even happens. And maybe, just maybe, even when that flurry comes, we still need to remain in the pocket because Anderson kind of does some of the same things. And I think that's where they see the hole in Anderson's game. That's the first clue to it, but there's one more clip that made me really understand. It's very, very subtle and very simple, but watch this little exchange here from Jayleon and Jake, right? Jake is here. Here comes the straight left hand because, again, Jayleon is replicating or trying to imitate Anderson here. Comes forward, left hand overthrown. Look at the shot Jake goes to. The check left hook. They've been watching film because Anderson does do this. Maybe not as blatantly as Jayleon's doing it here, but he does lead with the left hand, his backhand, and he does switch stance coming forward with big flurries. And the reason I know they've been watching film is because I've watched the same thing. The Anderson versus Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. fight. Multiple times in that fight, Anderson was leading off with his backhand, his straight left hand coming forward to set up combinations with the lead uppercut, maybe with the big lead hook as he tried to change the range. And a big reason for that success was Chavez Jr. wasn't firing back. He was standing there with a high guard. And the few times he did fire back and did throw the hook out there, it landed because either Anderson was over aggressive, out of position, or overreaching on that left hand shot. So when I look at what Jake's doing, he's working the speed, he's working his power, he's working on that straight left hand coming out from Anderson and the check hook behind it, that being the shot they want to go to. It seems like they want Anderson to fight in a similar way that Tyron Woodley in the first fight did when he threw his flurries. But this time, instead of Jake just around the outside with the jab, and again, this is a tall task, but I think they're going to try to risk a bit here, stay in the pocket with Anderson, use Jake's speed and power, working Anderson's body early by sitting down on those jabs and right hands, not just the backhand, but big speed and power out of the lead hand. And then when Anderson has seen that and wants to counter later on, they see Anderson throwing that lead hand out, and again, maybe being too over aggressive aggressive, and watching Chavez Jr. just shell up and take some of those shots, they want to find a way to catch Anderson in the in-between. It's a risk for sure, but it's Anderson fucking Silva. You throw everything in the kitchen sink at this guy if you want to beat him, and I could be wrong, but it seems like they think Jake is skilled enough to do it, so that's what they're gonna do. But there it is, man. That's my thoughts. Am I looking too deep into this? Maybe, but I do see some things they're trying to work on specifically for Anderson, and I see things they're doing specifically to make Jake better with his natural skill set and utilizing what he already has, speed and power. But what do you guys think? Am I on point here? Is Jake gonna try to utilize speed, power, outside leverage, and use his big right hand that everyone knows is coming, maybe, just maybe, as a setup for this one over the top? I have about as many answers as I have muscles to fill this shirt out. In other words, 0. So I guess we'll find out.